I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's EGGBURT, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
Say hello to Oyster Bunnies.
You know, John never misses a chance to make fun of me. And even off air, he's making fun of me. He's telling me...
It's an homage. Tell the story, Brad.
He's telling me that Jason Rosenbaum, the picture of... Is it a picture of Eigel, or who is it a picture of?
It's Holly is speaking, and then you have bosom buddies Bill Eigel and Jay Ashcroft standing next to each other. Which, you know, when Eigel stands next to Ashcroft, it's like looking at the number 10.
And I am in back of the picture. Is that what you're saying? So
yeah, you're wearing your bright pink vest, Brad.
Yeah, I was at that meeting. You know, now can I ask you a question? And
please do.
And this is in no means a slight at Jason Rosenbaum. If anything, it's a compliment to Jason Rosenbaum. How is it that a staff, and here let me go on the STLPR website and let me look at the staff again. We've done this once before, but I think since that time they've hired 46 more new people in the newsroom because they're now union and they need more people. About STLPR, is this the staff? Here we go, staff. I'm going to go down to news. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 people in the newsroom. It's on their website right now. 34 people. The only guy seems like he's working is Jason.
Well, I wouldn't say that's true, Brad, because if you look today, so you can see, I linked to some of this stuff. There's a fascinating story about the closure of Uncle Bill's Pancake House.
But see, you're kind of making my point.
I am. Oh, Brad, hold on, real quick. Can I interrupt? Because your friend Tim Eby posted something hilarious yesterday on the Twitters. But there's a content creator at St. Louis Public Radio called Lucretia Wembley, and she has a 4-minute piece, and the headline is SLPS, so St. Louis Public Schools, Acting Superintendent Borashade discusses transportation deficit enrollment. And then it talks about what a horrible predicament the public schools have been in lately and what Millicent Borashade is doing about it. Tim Eby posted yesterday, he retweeted St. Louis Public Radio, and he says, you do an interview with this woman who's not certified, and you can't be bothered to ask her why she's not certified?
Well, see, once again, I say if you got a new staff at 34 people, okay, once again, let's look at Camo X. Let's go back to the day, it hasn't been that long ago, when my old employee and all-around great guy, who's now the comms guy for St. Charles County, you know who I'm talking about.
Kevin Killeen.
Kevin Killeen is like the Camo X news department, I believe, is like 5 people now. That's it, okay? They crank out news 24/7, 365. They're doing newscasts every hour. You know, I mean, they're cranking out stuff. You've got a staff of 34 news people at KWMU, St. Louis Public Radio, and to me, and here, let's just look at this. I mean, this is the thing that I think bothers me. If I go to the website and I go news stories and I go...
Well, and Brad, let me interject. As you bring that up on your screen, I would like to point out, in defense of St. Louis Public Radio, that 2 days ago, St. Louis on the Air had a show called A Snail Species Went Extinct. The St. Louis Zoo helped bring it back to the wild. Like, if St. Louis Public Radio doesn't cover the snail population, who's going to cover it, Brad? Like who's going to take up? You can't count on KSDK or KMOX or KSLQ to cover snails.
Okay, I'm not going to touch that, John. Okay, here's the homepage of STLPR. The number one story is, and it was filed 2 hours ago by Saeed Ali, I guess. Ukrainian refugees find peace in St. Charles but hold on to hope of returning amid war. Okay? Big topical story? Not really. Second story. St. Louis diners mourn the closure of Uncle Bill's Pancake House after 63-year run. That was filed 14 hours ago. Okay? Next one. Brian Moline. Cardinals could need a new TV home next year after Bally Parent says they want out. 16 hours ago. Finally, we get down to Jason Rosenbaum, 15 hours ago. Top Senate Republican doubts radioactive waste compensation bill will pass this year. To me, that's the number one story. That should be top of it. And then you go.
Well, yeah, but you and I are biased in that too, right? Because maybe you're I don't know, maybe you're a big fan of pancakes and you're upset about Uncle Bill's.
Well, okay. Fifth story down, Missouri S&T grants 5-year contract extension to Chancellor Mo Degani. Okay? Who cares? Okay? Let's be honest. 4 things to know about electing judges in Missouri. That was Rachel Lippman, 16 hours ago.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good piece.
But once again, I mean...
Brad, you skipped over the new Victimhood series, which is episode 8 of Ferguson started with strangers and endures with family, even when they leave.
John.
So, like, to ignore their new Victimhood series, I think would do a disservice to St. Louis Public Radio.
John, I am so sick and tired of the Ferguson story being beaten to the ground. It's 10 years ago, okay? 10 years ago. The other day when I was listening to NPR, they led a story, and I guess this was the local people, they led a story about ever since policemen in Ferguson killed Michael Brown. Okay, here we go again. At least they didn't say murdered Michael Brown. You know, I mean, like...
Yeah. Well, you know, he was unarmed. You forgot unarmed, Brad.
Right. It's like, okay, enough. It's to the point where the frustrating thing with me, and I know you're going to make fun of me with my Westplex Chamber of Commerce, okay? Once again, even the people in the Westplex don't get it, because I read something yesterday on one of the sites in St. Charles County. We're a suburb of St. Louis. No, you're not. Forget about St. Louis.
Yes.
St. Louis is the wrong thing to include. You should not say, if someone says to you, where are you from? And it's just to the point where, like, the crazy thing that you know, and don't ask me why this is. I don't know why the guy doesn't like me. The guy that runs the the St. Charles EDC, Scott Drachnik, okay? Scott, I mean, there are a couple meetings I went to. There was a meeting I went to where he literally made fun of me, in I mean, not once, twice, about 6 times in a meeting, you know, in a luncheon legislators thing. And afterwards, I had a couple people come up and say, dude, what did you do to Scott Drachnik? I go, I didn't do anything to the guy. You know, but yet he even says, his whole thing is, well, when we go out and we try to get people to talk, you know, to move into the St. Charles County area, we try to businesses, when we say Wentzville is a nice place to move to, they say, where's Wentzville? And I'm thinking to myself, dude, then you haven't done a very good job. Because
Brad, that's a great point.
Because if you haven't promoted, you know, and that's the whole point that I make with the Westplex area. If you drive along I-70, unless you're a nerd like me, most people don't know where you go from St. Charles into St. Peter's, and then St. Peter's into O'Fallon, and then in Lake St. Louis, and you know, even to the point where every once in a while I'll throw out something, and matter of fact, I did this recently. Someone who lives in St. Charles County, and I said, oh yeah, this is in the Josephville area. And they said, where the hell's Josephville? I go, well, Josephville is one of these CDP places, and once again, that's Brad the Nerd. That stands for Census Designated Place, that is east of Wentzville and north of I-70. Essentially, it's east of the GM's plant. And once again, it's an area that once upon a time, it was a little community called Josephville that was out there. And, you know, like, I kid about the fact, and you now make fun of me when I talk about Hamburg or Tunerville or Howell or things like that. But once again, it's the whole thing. It's, how did I stray off the NPR thing? And here's the other thing, okay? John, I'm going to tell you something right now. If I rented a bus, and I said, and I blindfolded the staff of NPR, or St. Louis Public Radio. I put them on a bus. I go pick them up down at Grand Center. I put them on a bus, and we drive a nice bus, you know, like not like a school bus, but like, you know, a charter kind of bus, okay? And I drive them out into St. Charles County, and I let them all out. Like, let's say I let them all out in O'Fallon, and I say, okay, where are you? They would have no idea where they're at, because you know what? St. Charles County doesn't exist to them. It doesn't exist.
Maybe, yeah, that might be true.
And the same thing in Jefferson County. You take them down to Arnold, they go, Arnold, is this like where's Mr. Ziffel? Where is this his pig? Is this where where Mr. Ziffel's pig lives. Once again, do you know that reference?
Yeah, Bud Ziffel played for the Cardinals and the Yankees in the 1950s. That's who you're referring to.
No.
Zippel, Bud Ziffel.
No, this is Ziffel, Mr. Ziffel. Okay, you don't know that reference.
So we're assuming that what you're assuming is that everybody at St. Louis Public Radio lives in an unsafe area, a.k.a. St. Louis City or a collar area.
I'm assuming that my tax dollars, and they would say, we're a listener-supported station. Bologna sandwich. You're not a listener-supported station. You give that out because of the fact that if you had to live off your listener support, you'd be out of business. Because and the crazy thing about it was, and my old friend, because I was friends with her, Patty Wente, she's the person to blame on this. She had free rent out there when they were out in Lucas Hall on the UMSL campus. Oh no, we can't be in the basement of Lucas Hall. We've got to be in the Grand Theater area. We've got to rent expensive office space and move down there. Okay, you're owned by the University of Missouri St. Louis. You get free rent on campus. Why would you choose to move down to the Grand Theater area? Can you explain that to me, John? What?
Yeah, I think that you're just looking for a little bit of cultural enrichment.
Well, then why don't they move into the Symphony Hall? Why don't they move across the street into the
boy, that's true. Now, by the way, let's go back real quick to your friend Scott Drachnik, who leads the St. Charles Economic Development Commission.
Yes,
right?
the EDC.
Yeah, the EDC. So in his defense that day at the luncheon, you were wearing a pink safety vest, right?
See, here's the interesting thing. No, I was not. Okay, here's the interesting thing. My thing is, what I hear, and once again, maybe this is Brad being the weirdo. Okay, we have a situation right now where we have two teams on the other side of the state. We have an NFL team, which we don't have anymore here in St. Louis, and we have an American League ball team, okay? We have an empty dome that had a world champion football team playing it. You know, it's not like That's true. The Battlehawks are world champions. Not the Battlehawks. It was the Rams. Okay, why isn't Scott Drachnik saying, hey, Chiefs, we got this wonderful community called St. Charles County. We'll build you a stadium here. Why isn't he doing that? Or why?
I'm going to tell you why. Because let me tell you where your hypocrisy is, Brad. You criticized Tashara Jones for focusing on reparations instead of crime. Do you really want Scott Drachnik focusing on sports teams when there are Cottleville golf cart crimes going on? Like, shouldn't we address the rampant speeding in the Deerbergs parking lot in Cottleville before we talk about economic activity?
John,
like, if I don't feel safe driving my car up and down the aisles, I'm certainly not going to go to an improved version of the River City Rascals or whatever the hell they're called.
John, you know what I love about you?
What's that? Besides everything, Brad, what do you love about it?
Besides your always constant nice comments about women, which always gets me texted. Why does he say things like that about us?
Thank you.
No, you bring up these absurd things and you bring it up sort of in like your comms person voice, like you're very reasoned. You sound like a politician, and they're so funny. At least they are to me, because you're exactly right.
Well, it is. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment, Brad. And I'm glad that you're making light of the fact that people are injured. You know that once every 7 seconds, someone has their gouty foot run over in Cottleville.
See, the interesting thing to me is, and you bring up Cottleville, okay, there is a Facebook page on I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm a member of it, okay? And all anybody does is complain. All they do is complain. All they do. And the interesting thing is, what are they complaining about? I can't believe they're putting in another subdivision. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, my next door neighbor grew up in Cottleville. And I think when he told me he was born, there were 96 people in Cottleville. Okay, up until probably about 15 or 20 years ago, if you said Cottleville, most people go, where the hell's that? You know, nobody heard of that before. You know, now what's happened is it's turned into this booming city that now everybody's going like, okay, we created a monster, and everybody's afraid that this cute little community is going to turn into this sprawling metropolis. Guess what? It's already done that. And they're still like, we're losing the charm and the character of Cottleville. Guess what? That happened 25 years ago. That happened 25 years ago.
That happened when people like the Hildebrand family and others infested the area from North St. Louis County and moved out west.
But the crazy part of it is it's like I have situations where I had this happen a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to tell you who this is involving. And I had one of the snooty Kirkwood Webster Groves people make some comments to me, and I'm going, okay, here we go. Our community, it's so wonderful and so nice. I go, it's urban sprawl. And that's my answer.
Yeah, that's true.
And they go,
that's very true.
They go, what do you mean? It's urban sprawl. Well, it's not urban sprawl. And they go, where you live in St. Charles County is urban sprawl. I go, go back in history. All the bedroom communities around all the what they call the collar cities. You go up in North County, and that would be Riverview and then around the Horn. Like Veneta Park, Pagedale, all those communities are, and then you go to the west, U City, Clayton, all those essentially are first stage urban sprawl. And then there's second stage urban sprawl, and there's third stage urban sprawl. And, for a long time, most of the population of the St. Louis metro area was within the 270 circle. Well, then you had Chesterfield and Town and Country. And when I moved into North County as a, kid, remember, I'm the kid that was born in North City, used to live in North City. I lived in North City for the first 5 years of my life. I lived down the street from the old Chevy plant right there in Goodfellow, and I would believe Goodfellow and Union, I think that's where it was. And once again, when we moved to Jennings, oh my God, Jennings was new and fresh. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah. It's kind of like the station's preeminent talk radio station moving from Chesterfield further west in the St. Charles County. They got new studios out there, I heard.
Who's that? Is you talking about Rick and Tracy?
Who are Rick and Tracy? Is that the station that Bill Eigel's starting on, Brad, or is that the Blaze? I forget. No,
what Bill Eigel's going to be on KMOX.
I thought he was going to be on MSNBC and OAN.
And see, what's interesting, you talk about OAN, Rick Tracy was going, oh my God, OAN's the world's best network. It's sort of fallen by the wayside.
I haven't heard much about it lately.
That's what I'm saying. It's started. Newsmax is the one everybody's going to now. It's like OAN is who knows? What do I know? And you know what? I answer that I say that all the time. What do I know? You know what the answer to that question is?
The answer is a lot, no matter what you say, Brad. I'm not going to let you denigrate your own knowledge and intelligence.
What do I know? Not much. That's what
and
the
remember,
answer is.
We have feedback from listeners that if they're on the live stream, they can hear you and I talk in commercial breaks. So let's be mindful of that.
Can they
very
really?
mindful, very demure.
Can they hear us?
Yeah, we got a text from – check your text, Brad.
Hold on a minute.
I wonder how many months this has been going on.
That shouldn't be the case. We'll get ourselves in trouble because John's always complimenting all these women he knows about how, but oh my God, she's so feminine and she's the perfect woman and I'm always looking for the perfect woman. Isn't that what you normally say in the breaks?
Yeah, that's most of my in between patter. And then Brad's over there looking at Tulsi Gabbard pictures and getting his mouth sticky.
I could say something, but I won't.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?